What's up guys, it's Dwayne, back again for another video, back again for a reaction, and today is a great, amazing, exuberant, special day. Do you know why? You know why. Because of Sweden Day! Dating in Sweden. Now I've watched one video on dating in Sweden, but it was kind of, it wasn't exactly dating, it was him just going on holiday. So I really want to see what it really is like to date in Sweden. What do you guys do? Do you go on dates at restaurants? Do you go drinking? Do you go out? How do you meet other people of the opposite sex or the same sex? Whatever floats your boat. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go. Cute.
Wait a second.
These are some very pretty people. Very good looking.
Why are you guys walking so slowly?
Because we're Swedish people.
Oh.
Should have known. Swedish.
Hello, my name is Wadzi and welcome to my series Dating Around the World. Today we are in Sweden.
Sweden.
Sweden is one of the most innovative and progressive countries in the world, and it's even progressive when it comes to dating. Here, women have equal rights, and homosexuality was legalized in 1944. I mean,
Wait. Women have equal rights, and gay. Did you say gay? You shouldn't say gay marriage. You just said being gay was legalized in 1944. Guys, you're very progressive. Your country is. You should be very proud. This is why I love Sweden. This is why I'm having a love affair with Sweden. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna go to Sweden and I won't leave. I just feel like that's how it's gonna be. Let's go back.
Sweden is one of the most innovative and progressive countries in the world, and it's even progressive when it comes to dating. Here, women have equal rights, and homosexuality was legalized in 1944. I mean,
wow.
1944. Seriously? Is the rest of the world embarrassed yet? So, the population of Sweden is about 10.2 million people, about 5.1 million men, and 5.1 million women. Even that is equal. Seriously,
Equal.
Sweden, can you stop showing off?
Do you know what I
Seriously?
mean? Stop
so
showing
there's
off.
this myth that's going around that people in Sweden are tall, blonde, and beautiful. You know, these stereotypes. Seriously.
Is it true?
Well, guys, I'm here to tell you that this stereotype is true. This stereotype is true. But Sweden is so diverse and it's multicultural, so it's home to lots of amazing, beautiful people. The dating modalities here in Sweden are Tinder, if you're looking for something casual, if you're looking for something serious, and Match.com if you're looking for something more serious. Grindr and Her are great apps for LGBTQ plus communities. But let's hear from the Swedes themselves. What do they prefer? Are Swedish women good at flirting?
Well, I guess so. I would say personally, I'm horrible at discovering it. So.
Are Swedish men good at flirting?
I would say absolutely not.
Also, what I heard that Swedish men are very
not.
stable and monogamous.
Most of us.
Most of you guys are. So no players in Sweden.
Yes, we are. Sometimes.
Sometimes you're
for sure,
players.
for sure, yeah.
Well, you know.
That was very honest of him. He was like, sometimes, but we can be players. I mean, you got to respect the guy's honesty. At least he's being honest.
Heard about them.
You heard about the players,
Yeah,
but you're
for
not
sure.
one of them,
No,
so
no,
that's a good thing. All right. Are you guys
He definitely is one of the players. Look, just you can just tell.
flirtatious, Swedish men or Swedish women?
I don't think so, actually. Swedish man, I don't think so.
All
Not
right.
normal Swedish man, I don't think so.
He is.
He was flirtatious. So he was like, oh, okay.
He was so romantic.
He was like, hey, what's
Very
up?
good
How you
looking. All of
doing?
them.
No, he was like more, hey, do you want to get a fika?
Oh, okay. I like
And I
that.
was like, oh my god, yes.
So can you please tell me what a fika is?
A fika in Sweden
Fika.
is something you don't have when you're baking or something you eat. 1, 2, 3 or time of the day.
Okay.
You can do it on the cafe, you
2 or 3 times a day. Wow.
can do it at home or in the park. Actually, everywhere.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
it's a
basically,
real Swedish thing.
Cinnamon buns?
It's really important.
Cinnamon buns.
cinnamon buns are important.
Yeah, it's really important.
Okay, all right, okay, all
And
right.
you're just sitting and like take a coffee or something.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and talk to each other.
okay, talk to each other, and this is like a good first date in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Everyone knows what a fika is.
Yeah, can you tell me what a fika is?
So fika's like Netflix and chill. Like if you ask someone you find attractive, can we go for a fika? That could mean something else. But it probably means fika, but it might mean that I want to get to know you as well. That's interesting.
For example.
Coffee and like some kind of bun, I guess.
Okay, a bun.
So just pretend I said something really intelligent.
Okay, okay, coffee and a bun is fika. Okay, that's great.
Maybe that's one thing about Swedish like dating culture is that we're not that normative in that sense, because we don't have these traditional roles that the guy has to do the first move and buy the girl dinner and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that's the tip if you want to adapt to like the Swedish dating culture.
Well, I like that actually because it just gives women so much freedom. So, women, you can get your man if you want your man, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
So see, I love that as well. There's not an expectation of one sex to make the first move. It's a two-way, equal kind of procedure. I mean, that's equality. If anything, that is equality, right? It's not expected that the guy has to make the first moves, and it's not expected that the girl has to make the first move. They both equally need to give signals to say that they fancy each other. I love that.
First of all, I love your dog. It is super cute, yeah. What is it
His
like
dog
to
that
date
love
in
her.
Sweden? Is it easy? Is it difficult to meet people?
It's kind of hard in Stockholm actually. I mean,
Okay.
I wish it was simpler, but I mean, people are so close now. I mean, they're like,
all right,
it's
okay.
hard to meet people in Stockholm. I don't know why, but it
Okay,
is, yeah.
all right. But it's actually like home to like 50% of like single people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
single households. So, I mean, Tinder, Match.com, do they work?
Tinder, I use Tinder, but not that much.
Okay,
I mean,
alright.
I try it, but
Okay.
I don't think it's there where I will find someone. I don't think so. I mean, it's a
Okay.
good, it's a fun thing,
Okay, all
but
right.
it's not the place where I'm gonna meet someone. I
Okay,
don't think
so going out and dancing?
I'm not doing that either. I think it's more like a friends and work thing.
Okay, all
So you
right.
meet someone maybe at work, or you like in between friends, or someone's friend's friend, or something like that.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, okay. But do you
Yeah.
think people here tend to
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. He was just like, yeah, like it's a friend thing. You might meet someone, you might not. It's quite difficult to meet someone in Stockholm. Is that true? It's quite difficult to meet a potential relationship or someone that you want to date in Stockholm? And is it easier in towns like Gothenburg or other parts of Sweden? Is it easier there to date? Let me know in the comment section.
settle down more or less, or what do you think the trend is? The trend is less,
Yeah.
or is it more for settling down?
I think the trend is less
Okay.
for settling down, and I think that people are getting older before they are looking for a serious or stable relationship.
Okay.
So, do you think that it's still important?
So he's saying there's a bit of a culture of having fun rather than settling down at a younger age in Stockholm. Do you think that's true? Let me know in the comment section.
To get married, or do you think it's like old-fashioned at this point in time?
It's not important to get married, I think.
Okay,
At
alright.
least in Sweden.
Okay, all right.
Because you have the same rights.
All right, that's awesome.
Right.
All right.
Otherwise, it's illegal. When we got married,
Yeah.
then it was easier to have children to be married. But today it is not like that anymore. So it's
If you
Otherwise-
get married, you don't have to arrange any legal agreements in her who gets the money if you die and so on.
Okay.
And but if you just move together, you have to take care of that yourself.
Okay, all right,
So
okay.
that's
All right, so
more administration.
a little bit more administration. So
Right.
get married for less administration?
It's true. But that's what marriage is, as well as the romanticized, lovey-dovey, fairy tale part of marriage. The legality of marriage is I mean, that is what marriage is, really. You know, that you're secure, and that, you know, if you have your loved one in hospital, you are their next of kin. You know, like there's a lot of legal ties to marriage. So a lot of people don't think about that when they get married. Actually, your finances are intertwined. You know, you just got to think about those things, because that's what marriage really is. A relationship is different. You can have a partner and not be married and still be kind of bound together in love. Marriage is just a certificate. It's the legal part. And the ceremony is really
More
beautiful.
insight into what it's like to date in Sweden and why the divorce rate is so high, I'm going to be talking to Anna Batista, a psychologist who
high
specializes in
divorce rate.
relationships.
One of the things that we cannot ignore when we think about life in general in the Swedish society is that Sweden has the most individualistic society in the world.
Okay, all right.
So that
Wow.
means that people are very interested in fulfilling their own selves
Okay, all right.
and achieving the best they can and the best possible life they can, and they're very interested in health and success in many different areas. But when it comes to the couple kind of life, it involves so much effort to kind of adjust to each other and to make some to make some reservations about your own self so that you can adapt. There's so much that it's involved in creating the couple. It's like a third entity. There's you, there's the other, and there's the couple, right?
Okay, all right.
And so I think there's a conflict because people think, no, I want to fulfill myself, and if this relationship is not helpful in that way, then it's not worth it. And
Guys, I think that's forward thinking. I think that's very forward thinking. A lot of the time in other countries, in the West, in England, people don't think about that. Let's get into relationships because they want to be in relationships, but they don't think about, is that other person bringing something to my life? Is that other person enriching my life? Like, you know, there's a lot of people that get into relationships with another person, and they're actually not bringing anything. They're taking away. They're coming empty-handed to the relationship. Oop, you know, they fell over. Coming empty-handed to the relationship and expecting the other person to enrich their lives and make their lives better, but they're not thinking about it's a partnership. A relationship is a partnership, and the two people need to bring something to the relationship to make it whole. Relationships are very difficult, and I like the ethos that Sweden has of that individualistic, making sure that your life as an individual is happy and that you love yourself first and you have your shit together before you bring someone else into that. I love that. I I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's quite forward thinking. I just love Sweden. I just love you guys. So that's what it is. I think I'm moving to Sweden. I don't know. Well, I don't know. If this trip next year goes well, when I go to Sweden, and I visit the other Scandinavian countries, I don't know. Might have to have a serious talk with my partner on whether we should move to Sweden.
one of the things that we see actually happening a lot in Sweden is that, for example, the idea of living together is not so much something that is seen as a must. So there are many couples that are married or they just decide we will never live together. We will always have our own places, and we can have a very healthy relationship. And I would say it can be very helpful actually to have that.
In your experience and what you've seen, it has been helpful to
because then you kind of get the space for yourself. One of the things that sometimes happens, which is problematic within couples, is that people lose the sense of themselves.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, become us, and the me part of
Exactly,
it
you
is
It's
both
forgotten,
need to
yeah.
be
Exactly, yeah.
So
an
when we
individual.
think about having that space for yourself and then having the space for the couple,
Yeah.
I think that can bring some balance to the relationship that otherwise wouldn't be found.
That's an interesting take, actually. But then I'm also curious to know how that affects people when they're older. Is there a higher rate or percentage of people who are lonely when they're older here?
I would say yes. Yeah. And actually this idea that I'm talking about
Yeah.
living separately, it happens also many times when people have had a marriage,
Okay.
they get divorced, and then they decide, I will never be living with someone else again. So then when
Okay.
they get a new partner, they decide, I will keep my own place. And
Okay.
yeah.
But doesn't life just force us to be dependent in some way, because we need human love, we need affection, we need it also long term? Isn't that just what life forces us to need?
I think it's important to have relationships and loved ones, but I think really you need to be happy on your own before you're happy with someone else. Like, you cannot use someone as an emotional crutch. That's what I love to say, emotional crutch, like using someone else to prop up your life. Like, you need to be complete in yourself and love yourself before you can love someone else and bring them in. You shouldn't rely on needing that. That's not the meaning of life. The meaning of life is very individualistic. Like, end of the day, we come into this world on our own and we leave this world on our own, really. I mean, we have our loved ones, but really we are individual. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say.
Need in general? I don't know. I suppose, yeah.
In general, yeah, that is like part of our nature, right?
Yeah,
We need
exactly.
those things. But at the same time, it's a lot about how you are being educated and how you are fulfilling also that need. Because then I think there are ways that people... It's quite structured, I would say, you know, that people look at their needs in a very structured way.
Okay, all right.
You know, like, it's not such a spontaneous society as maybe other societies, where those things kind of happen naturally, and here it's almost like things are a little bit more structured, and you're like taking things, you know, how should I have my social time now, or how should I have my, you know,
Okay,
it's
all right. So generally, when you're talking to couples who have problems in relationships and etc., what do you think are the main problems people have here? I mean, yes, you said already that there's like the me, the you, and then this whole concept of like us. What are other problems that people could have here? I mean, family, finances.
I think it's a lot about, this is an issue that many couples face, which is the growing apart, right?
Okay.
When you want different things and when you have different views of how life should look like.
Okay.
And in that sense, you know, it's tricky because we want to have everything from the same person. We want to have the love story, we want to have the passion, we want to have the stability, we want to have the desire, and sometimes, you know, these things are incompatible.
Yeah, you don't align. You have to work on it. Relationships are not perfect, you know. You may have an idea that you want to... There needs to be compromise. Compromise is a big word in a relationship, like, because there's going to be your partner might want to, I don't know, move countries, and you may not want to move countries, but you know that's going to make your partner happy, and there's a compromise to be had. You know, you need to adapt if you love that person, you know. If it makes you very unhappy, then you need to communicate that, and then there's a compromise on your partner's behalf. but it's a balance that you need to have in a relationship of compromise and adaptation.
If you want to have a passion and the mad desire, maybe the stability is not,
Yeah.
So I think that's what starts to become points of friction when you start feeling that you're not having your needs satisfied in some areas,
Okay.
and you're not seeing it. You're wanting everything from the same person. You want a friend, you want a lover, you want a mistress, you want everything
in
from the
one
same
person.
In one person, exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's almost impossible to find.
Taking out the garbage, it doesn't really go together with the
passion.
The passion, exactly. So that's when things start to become complicated, and people start growing apart, and they start seeing things from different perspectives, and then it becomes harder to kind of find that line again. Not impossible, but that's what brings them usually to therapy, is because they have lost that point of contact, so to say.
All right, okay. So I've looked at how I'm very impressed by Sweden, because women here have equal rights, and they basically have a say in everything. They go Dutch as well, so the bill is split 50-50 and everything is just split 50-50, which I actually love. I love the emancipation of women here. And I wanted to know, have you had cases, or have you seen people who've actually suffered from like abuse in relationships, physical, verbal, emotional, and is that something that's downplayed because of how upplayed the equality is?
I don't think it is downplayed at all, actually. I think, and even that the fact that it is talked now that the rates are becoming increasing in Sweden of domestic violence, I think it has also to do with how much it is talked about, that people are aware that certain boundaries shouldn't be crossed, exactly.
So you're
but
very
of course
open
it
about,
exists.
You're very open about domestic violence in Sweden, so it's not downplayed, it's the opposite. I get it.
It also exists, but I think here is the difference perhaps is that there's so much awareness of where that line should be.
Okay,
there's not so much tolerance as perhaps in other cultures, because I don't know, but here I think that's maybe the point, is that there's an awareness of how things should and shouldn't be,
All right, I get that. So because people are so equal, so you would think that there's no like toxic masculinity as an issue here. I mean,
well, that's. I don't know if I can. There still is toxic masculinity.
There's still toxic
here,
masculinity.
Yeah.
Oh my God! How can people get rid of this?
No. I would say there still is toxic masculinity, but much less. I mean, I've experienced other cultures, and I can definitely say there's much less.
Okay.
But I would also say, and I have to say this, I think there's also some toxic femininity.
Femininity?
I don't think you can say femininity.
Okay, we need to make this word actually something public. There is toxic femininity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but what I mean by this is when I feel like that feminism also crosses the line when it comes to what is reasonable and what is not.
Yeah, because we haven't defined it. I think people haven't defined what it is.
No, and I can even say I have had experiences, even myself, where I was a little bit too like, no, but I can do, and then I realized there was actually no bad intention from the other side. So I think
like opening the door.
No, not
Things
that
like
one.
that?
Not
No.
that one. I'm very happy with the man or a woman opening the door for me.
Yeah.
But yes, I've heard of men saying that they were very much like, "Don't do that for me," and that's when I think it's a bit toxic, because there can be just a kind gesture. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
So I think, but I think it also is part of like this adaptation, right? When you're trying to change things, there's always a time of chaos, so to say, until things settle down in the right place. So
she's right. I mean, when anytime there's a movement that's kind of coming to the forefront, like we're more aware of feminist movements and toxic masculinity, there's always a push initially, and before it needs to go back into the middle. So at the moment, we're very much in the culture of very hard pushes on the toxic masculinity and racism and what else is there, like sexuality, trans movement. There's a lot of a big push in that direction, but then now there's a big push coming back, and I think it will land in the middle and equalize at some point. But yeah, I definitely do think when there's a new movement or people are becoming hyper aware about something, it tends to get into the extreme a little bit for a short amount of time, but it will spring back. So I think toxic femininity is not like toxic masculinity. I don't think it's a problem, but I think it's something we should be aware of because it is sneaking in currently as, you know, the pushing is happening, if that makes sense.
That's why I mentioned this toxic femininity, just in that sense of misunderstanding and taking it the wrong way.
But I think it's important that you mentioned that, because I think it's not mentioned enough.
Yeah.
So it's not difficult as an expat here to adapt to the culture here in terms of like dating culture. I mean, because going Dutch is something that is, you know, it's not exactly common. I don't know.
But it's
things like that, like
because
sharing
I
households.
think like in the paper,
Yeah.
the idea of going Dutch is like what you should do.
Yeah,
but,
exactly,
But then what we see is that, I mean, women still like to, well, I would say the majority still appreciate that gesture.
A gesture.
Okay, all right, I understand that. So just another question that I have. What do you think, what could you pinpoint as like, what do you think is the major problem in the dating culture, and what you think is a great advantage as a summary?
Definitely an advantage, I would say, is the, you know, how respectful and open-minded people are. So I think
I
it's
get
very
that.
easy to feel safe. It's very easy to, yeah, to meet people without much reservations, because you're not really thinking that you're gonna, you know, be under some danger or something like that. So I think, you know, in general, the city, I'm talking now about Stockholm, is really safe. I think this idea that we are so, you know, that is such an individualistic society, so it makes it extremely hard to find someone that wants to have a joint project, because everyone is very much in their own lives, and everyone is very much on their own paths and ideas of what they should do with their lives. And so to kind of find two people that kind of really match in that way.
And stay matched.
And stay matched.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big...
That's a big
difficult.
thing. And can you tell me what the Swedish dream is in general when it comes to long-term relationships?
So there is really like the stereotypical Swedish dream, which would be the 3 V's, the villa, the Volvo, and the Vove, which is the dog. And that is really the dream for many people. But there is also many who say, I want anything but the 3 V's, you know?
All right, okay.
So there's
Nightmare.
yeah, exactly. So in that sense, it's difficult to say what really is the Swedish dream. There is like these two, or many. There are many options, but yeah, there are those who really want the dream, and those that are thinking things differently.
You know, I've read a lot that Sweden is really open, and it's really great when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights, right? From your experience as a psychologist, the people that you talk to, and generally as someone who's living here, do you think this is something that's actually true, or is it just in the news and people have a different lived experience from what you've heard?
No, I would say that that's the experience people have. It is quite open society in these terms, and even if usually people are very non-confrontational, there's a little bit of an avoidance of confrontation in general. But when it comes to if you see or hear someone saying something that you don't think is right, then people will, you know, bring it up, and so that's good. I think that's something that can be said that is like
a fact.
Yeah,
basically.
a fact. Yeah, that's.
But yeah, but thank you so much, Anna. This has been so
good
great,
to-
and
good to
thank
know.
you for elaborating, of course, what it's like to date in Sweden and what advantages and disadvantages people have, and yeah, this is Anna Batista with dating in Sweden.
So guys, I had to fix my camera because it was moving during that video. Very weird. I'm sure you guys noticed the camera was like slowly turning this way. But you saw some of my apartments, so that's great. That was a really good video. Like, I've learned a lot. I didn't realize it was going to go so deep into the dating culture in Sweden and, you know, the psychology of it and the sociology of it. That was very interesting. I really enjoyed that, and I feel like I've got a better grasp of Swedish people and what it's like to be a single person there. It's interesting. I think it's not impossible to meet people, and I don't think it's impossible to be in a relationship with a person. I just think it's an effort on the individual's part. Like if you are looking for somebody and you do want to be with somebody and you're open to that, I think you will find that person. You know, it's always difficult finding someone, but just believe in yourself and just put your best foot forward. And you know what? People find relationships and get into relationships when they're least expecting it. That's what I found. When I was looking for it, I never found someone. When I wasn't looking, all of a sudden, I'm in a relationship. So yeah. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I will see you soon.